A dusty swan song for Toyota's 4x4 Hilux at the 12th Toyota 1000 Desert Race last weekend in Freiburg. Disappointment as 4 times winner Springbok Jeremy Davies retires 53 kilometres into the first day's racing section. Stepping briefly out of retirement, Bux Carolyn makes his 10th attempt at this race, which he's only finished once before. Natal's Alfie Cox dominates on day 1, leading the 478-kilometre section from Freiburg to Severn for most of the day. 1990 Toyota 1000 winner Richard Schilling looks set to repeat history after he and Ashley Thorne arrived at the overnight stop first on day 1. Toyota invites you to share in the trials and tribulations of some of the competitors entered in the 1992 Toyota 1000 Desert Race. Tangerine Dawn greeted competitors last Saturday morning. The desert silence was shattered as engines coughed into life, and long before official start time, the Veld was abuzz with activity as campers prepared themselves for the long haul back to Freiburg. Ahead of the competitors lay the previous day's route in reverse. Incorporated this year was a brand new 160-kilometre section never before raced in this event. New too was the refuel point, which was moved 10 kilometres down the river to Ganap. First off the start line would be the Motortech raceco Richard Schilling and Ashley Thorne, with last year's winner Klaus Degener, along with Jeff Bell in the BP Chenoweth in hot pursuit. Countdown as the sky changed from pink to blue, and the leading raceco was off in a cloud of Kalahari dust.
We went past
it wasn't there.
You through a gate and you turned right.
For those behind him, it would be one long tussle to overtake, and Klaus Degener would be watching for every opportunity. Cassie Coetzee and Richard Leek had faith in their turbocharged Toyota Hilux and were confident they'd do well. Being in a single-seater with no assisting navigator, Bux Carolyn would find it more difficult than others to overtake or maintain his position. Wilfried Westlau and Dagmar Blankner, who'd led Class 2 the previous day in their VW bread van, started off well. Another single-seater was the Sealcoat Chenoweth of Natal's Rob Gibson, who'd finished well on day 1, even without a navigator. An old hand at this sport, Gibson was looking for a good result. Despite starting 23rd the previous day, Harry Roscoe in the Protea playing card Raceco had finished within the top 10, although steering box problems had caused him some anxiety. Husband and wife team Arnold and Estelle Natier were attempting the desert race for the second time, and their Neatin Toyota Raceco had been immaculately prepared for the occasion. Class 5 leaders Alfred van Vuren and Piet Pelser loved the sandy terrain and were powering their Sasol Toyota Hilux through the dirt with what looked like ease and skill. Second in Class 6 were Cliff Barker and Mike Redden in the SVM, who'd shaped well so far this season and are lying third in the national championships in the commercial class. After a finish in 10th place the day before, Nardis Alberts and Jack Purchase were determined to make up time in their Rapsa Raceco. Craig Hopkinson and Martin Spencer went on to win Class 7 at the end of the event, their VW Beetle having performed excellently. Back at the start, the two-wheelers got ready for the last stretch of the race. Among the first 10 off the line, 6 Kawasaki's, led by Alfie Cox, would be racing hell for leather to the finish. Cox's main worry was punctures. With no tyre mousse in the country and being forced to use old stock, riders have a fear of the stuff imploding mid-race, which it tends to do. Cox was followed by Brian Bontekoning and then the bigger Suzuki of Willie Island. Initially, life looked good for Cox on the Ford Fire Kawasaki, and here the race cam fitted to his helmet provides a high-speed rider's view of the track ahead. Soon hereafter, Cox slowed with engine problems and was forced to retire from the race. In his wake, Brian Bontekoning was going flat out on the little 200 Kawasaki. Having always yearned to win this event, Willie Ireland was giving it his best shot on the Super Tyres Suzuki, determined to make it home first. Truck Africa Kawasaki rider John Hodgson rode consistently, eventually reaching the finish second in the 200 class. With unfenced vistas before them, these Springbok fled swiftly and silently from the approaching helicopter. For the more conventionally powered, like Schilling and Thorn in the Motortech Raceco, taking and maintaining a 20-minute lead was not that easy. Soon after, we see them at this Marshall Point. They've stopped with CV problems. Moving into first spot was the low-flying BP Chenoweth. Klaus Degener and Jeff Bell had every intention of retaining their position, but their best-laid plans so often go awry, as they were to discover later on. Just behind them and still leading Class 6 were Cassie Coetzee and Richard Leek in the Toyota dealer Team Hilux. At this stage, should anything befall Degener, the race could well be theirs. Not to be overlooked was former South African champ Bux Carolyn, whose Porsche-powered lubrication equipment Raceco was maintaining a steady pace. Wilfried Veslau and Dagmar Blankner weren't quite as lucky.
Nothing happened. We fall in there, and then we can't put it down.
Donnie and Gallo van der Merwe's Toyota Hilux had no problems. Neither did Norman and Dennis Morgenrood's Toyota.
Moving fine, 100%, no problem. And out of a sudden, 500 meters from here, horrible noise. Crown wheel and pinion broke, gearbox. Out of the race.
At the refuel point, service crews anxiously await their teams. For some, like Harry Roscoe, it was the end of the race.
Same thing as last year, exactly the same thing. I broke the diff. The diff started making a noise, and that was the end of my race.